The Agency for Persons with Disabilities eligibility requirements for participation in APD services. During today's presentation, we will cover the intake, application, and eligibility determination process, the waiting list for participation on the iBudget Home and Community-Based Services Waiver, the various iBudget waiver enrollment options, and the iBudget waiver services. A developmental disability, as defined in statute, means a disorder or syndrome that is attributable to intellectual disability with a full-scale IQ of 70 or below, cerebral palsy, severe forms of autism, spina bifida cystica or myelomeningocele, Down syndrome, Phelan-McDermid syndrome, Prader-Willi syndrome. Documentation must be provided showing that the developmental disability manifests before the age of 18 and constitutes a substantial handicap that can reasonably be expected to continue indefinitely. As described in APD's eligibility rule, individuals with intellectual disabilities have significantly sub-average general intellectual functioning existing concurrently with deficits in adaptive behavior, which manifest before the age of 18 and can reasonably be expected to continue indefinitely. This is evidenced by IQ scores of 70 or below, along with severe deficits in adaptive functioning as measured on standardized tests. Proof of an intellectual disability must be obtained from testing performed by licensed psychologists. Cerebral palsy means a group of disabling symptoms of extended duration which result from damage to the developing brain that may occur before, during, or after birth, and that results in the loss of impairment or control over voluntary muscles. For purposes of this definition, cerebral palsy does not include those symptoms or impairments resulting solely from a stroke. Diagnosis is confirmed by written documentation from either a medical doctor, doctor of osteopathy, or other medical records documenting a diagnosis of cerebral palsy before the age of 18. As defined in rule, autism means a developmental disability that is pervasive, meaning always present and without interruption, neurologically based, meaning that the condition is not the result of physical impairment, developmental disability, with age of onset during infancy or childhood. It is also of extended duration, meaning that the condition reasonably can be expected to continue indefinitely into the future, causes severe learning disorders, resulting in both severe communication disorders affecting verbal and nonverbal skills, and severe behavior disorders. A diagnosis of autism may be made by licensed psychiatrists, psychologists, neurologists, or developmental pediatricians who have specific training and experience in making such diagnoses. Individuals with spina bifida have a medical diagnosis of spina bifida cystica or myelomeningocele. Diagnosis is confirmed by written documentation from either a medical doctor, doctor of osteopathy, or medical records that document a diagnosis of spina bifida before the age of 18. Individuals with spina bifida occulta are not eligible to receive APD services. Down syndrome means a disorder caused by the presence of an extra chromosome 21. Evidence under this category requires medical records documenting a chromosome analysis, finding the individual has an extra genetic material on their number 21 chromosome. In absence of a chromosome analysis, a diagnosis can be accepted from a healthcare provider certifying that the physical symptoms and signs of the syndrome. Prenatal diagnosis tests can also be accepted as proof of eligibility. Phelan-McDermid syndrome is a rare disability. Children are born with specific chromosomal deviation. Although the range and severity of symptoms may vary, Phelan-McDermid syndrome is generally characterized by low muscle tone, absent to severely delayed speech, moderate to profound intellectual disability, minor malformed or misshapen features, symptoms of autism spectrum disorder, motor delays, and epilepsy. Establishing eligibility for Phelan-McDermid syndrome requires documentation from a physician which provides a diagnosis of Phelan-McDermid syndrome as derived from genetic testing. Prader-Willi syndrome means an inherited condition typified by neonatal hypotonia with failure to thrive, hyperphagia, or an excessive drive to eat, which leads to obesity, usually at 18 to 36 months of age, mild to moderate intellectual disability, short stature, and a characteristic neurobehavior. Diagnosis is confirmed by written documentation from either a medical doctor or doctor of osteopathy with medical records that document a diagnosis of Prader-Willi syndrome before the age of 18. Individuals considered high risk are children between the ages of 3 and 5 years old with either a developmental delay in cognition, language, or physical development, a child surviving a catastrophic infectious or traumatic illness known to be associated with a developmental delay, child with a parent or guardian with developmental disabilities who requires assistance in meeting the child's developmental needs, a child who has a physical or genetic anomaly associated with developmental disability. Evidence under this category requires a determination by an APD regional office staff that a medical diagnosis of developmental delay evidenced by the child indicates a high probability that the child is likely to have an eventual diagnosis of a qualifying condition. If early intervention services are not provided, or the child has one or more physical or genetic anomalies associated with a developmental disability, such as genetic or chromosomal disorders, metabolic disorders, congenital malformation, neurological abnormalities, chronic or catastrophic illnesses, or other conditions or genetic disorders generally associated with developmental disabilities. In order to be eligible for agency services, an applicant must be at least 3 years of age, must be a resident of and domiciled in the state of Florida, and must also have a confirmed diagnosis of a developmental disability as defined in rule. Only applicants whose domicile is in Florida are eligible to receive APD services. Applications for clients who reside in another state, but whose legal guardians have established domicile in Florida may be accepted and processed while the applicant is in the process of transitioning to Florida. Individuals who receive waiver services in another state and move to Florida must apply for services from APD and meet the eligibility criteria listed in rule prior to being placed on the waiting list. Waiver services do not transfer from one state to another. Proof of identity is required as part of the application process. The following are examples of the types of documentation that may be submitted as proof of identity: a birth certificate, resident alien card, a person's state driver's license, or a state-issued ID card with a photo, a military dependent's ID card, or the applicant's Social Security card. Anyone wishing to apply for services from the Agency for Persons with Disabilities can access our service application online at apdcares.org/customers/application. The application is available in English, Spanish, and Haitian Creole. The application is divided in sections to be filled out by the applicant or legal representative and the regional staff corresponding to the county where the applicant resides in. Anyone interested in applying for services should print the application and fill it out by hand. The application will be available in the future for online submission in iConnect. An application may be accepted from a parent or court-appointed guardian of a minor child, a legally competent adult, or an authorized legal representative. Examples of an authorized legal representative include a court-appointed guardian of an adult, medical proxies, as well as an individual authorized to make decisions under a durable power of attorney. For applicants under 18 years of age, the person's legal representative must sign the application for APD services. To apply for services from the Agency for Persons with Disabilities, which includes participation in the iBudget Home and Community-Based Services Waiver, or placement in an intermediate care facility for individuals with intellectual or developmental disabilities, submit an application to the APD office that serves your area, either by mail or by hand delivery. Fax submissions will be returned for an original signature. To find the closest office to where the applicant resides, visit our website at apdcares.org. If the applicant is 18 years of age or older, he or she must sign the application and all necessary documents unless he has been determined incapacitated by a court of law or unless he has asked another person to exercise his rights in writing. An adult who is unable to sign may mark the signature line. The mark shall be identified by a witness as his or her mark. If the adult is incapacitated, the legal representative, as identified in a court order, shall execute all documents on behalf of the applicant. Upon receipt of a complete, signed, and dated application for services, the agency will review the application and all supporting documentation to see if additional information or evaluations are needed to make a final eligibility determination for APD services. If additional information is needed, the agency will notify the applicant or legal representative in writing of the need to obtain additional information. As part of the application process, APD will request proof of a developmental disability diagnosis made prior to the age of 18. Documentation of a developmental disability may include, but is not limited to, standardized IQ tests, such as Stanford Binet Intelligence Test, Wechsler Preschool and Primary Scale of Intelligence, or the Differential Ability Scales Preschool Edition. Also, tests of adaptive functioning, such as the Vineland Adaptive Behavior Scales, the AAMR Adaptive Behavior Scale, or the Adaptive Behavior Assessment System, also known as the ABAS, and diagnostic evaluations from licensed professionals, documentation from a medical doctor or healthcare professional, genetic testing, school records, and psychological evaluations. Once the agency has had an opportunity to review all available documentation, the agency will notify the applicant or their legal representative in writing of the final determination of eligibility for agency services within 45 days for children under the age of 6, 60 days for children 6 years of age and older, or 90 days for individuals whose application was incomplete and required additional information. When an applicant is determined eligible for APD services and the iBudget waiver, the applicant will be placed on the agency's waiting list in one of 7 waiting list priority categories. The first priority category corresponds to individuals who are in crisis. Crisis category means that the applicant is currently homeless, living in a homeless shelter, or living with relatives in an unsafe environment. The applicant exhibits behaviors that, without provision of immediate waiver services, may create a life-threatening situation for the applicant or others, or the applicant's current caregiver is in extreme duress and is no longer able to provide for the applicant's health and safety because of illness, injury, or advanced age. Priority Category 2 includes children from the child welfare system or foster care who meet APD's eligibility criteria and are either transitioning out of the child welfare system at the finalization of an adoption, a reunification with family members, a permanent placement with a relative, or a guardianship with a non-relative, or a child between the ages of 18 and 22 who needs both waiver services and extended foster care services, or a child between the ages of 18 and 22 who withdrew consent to remain in extended foster care system. Category 3 is for eligible clients whose caregivers have a documented condition that is expected to render the caregiver unable to provide care within the next 12 months, and for whom a caregiver is required, but no alternate caregiver is available. Clients who are at substantial risk of incarceration or court commitment without supports. Clients whose documented behaviors or physical needs place them or their caregiver at risk of serious harm and other supports are not currently available to alleviate the situation. APD clients who are identified as ready for discharge within the next year from a state mental health hospital or skilled nursing facility and who require a caregiver, but for whom no caregiver is available, or whose caregiver is unable to provide the care needed. Category 4 includes clients whose caregivers are 70 years of age or older and for whom a caregiver is required, but no alternate caregiver is available. Category 5 includes clients who are expected to graduate within the next 12 months from secondary school and need support to obtain a meaningful day activity, maintain competitive employment, or to pursue an accredited program of post-secondary education to which they have been accepted. Category 6 includes clients 21 years of age or older who do not meet the criteria for categories 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And Category 7 includes clients younger than 21 years of age who do not meet the criteria for categories 1, 2, 3, or 4. Only clients who meet the following criteria can enroll in the Home and Community-Based Services iBudget waiver, contingent upon the availability of funds. This includes individuals who meet the criteria for crisis waiver enrollment or the waiting list category 1, and children in community-based care or the foster care system who have been determined eligible for APD services and have reached permanency via adoption or permanent placement with a family member or reunification with their parents. Also, waiting list to waiver offers were made in previous years when the Florida legislature appropriated funds for APD clients on the waiting list with intense needs to receive an offer for placement on the iBudget Home and Community-Based Services waiver. Additionally, starting in 2014, the Florida legislature authorized the provision of iBudget waiver services to dependents of active duty military service members who meet APD's eligibility criteria, who transferred to the state of Florida, and at the time of the service member's transfer to Florida, the dependent was receiving home and community-based services in the state they transferred from. Also, the agency is committed to transitioning individuals who have chosen to move into the community from intermediate care facilities for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities and receive the most appropriate iBudget waiver services that meet their needs. Finally, since 2016, the Florida legislature authorized the agency to offer waiver enrollment to individuals with Phelan-McDermid syndrome who meet APD's eligibility requirements. The Florida Medicaid Developmental Disabilities Individual Budgeting, or iBudget, Home and Community-Based Services Waiver provides home and community-based supports and services to eligible persons with developmental disabilities living at home or in a home-like setting. The iBudget waiver program is funded by both federal and matching state dollars. Individuals enrolled in the iBudget waiver should receive services that enable them to have a safe place to live, have a meaningful day activity, receive medically necessary medical and dental services, receive medically necessary supplies and equipment, receive transportation required to access necessary waiver services. This iBudget waiver reflects use of an individual budgeting approach and enhanced opportunities for self-determination. The purpose of the waiver is to promote and maintain the health and welfare of eligible individuals with developmental disabilities, provide medically necessary supports and services to delay or prevent institutionalization, foster the principles of self-determination as a foundation for services and supports, providing an array of services from which eligible clients can choose, allows them to live as independently as possible in their own home or in the community to achieve productive lives. Eligible clients can choose between the iBudget waiver or an intermediate care facility for individuals with intellectual disabilities. The iBudget waiver enhances each client's opportunity for participant direction by providing greater choice among services within the limits of an individual budget. To facilitate this, similar services are grouped in service families. Service families are categories that group related waiver services together. These include life skills development, environmental and adaptive equipment, personal supports, residential services, support coordination, therapeutic supports, and wellness, transportation, and dental services. For more information about the iBudget waiver, please visit our website at apdcares.org. If you have any questions about the information provided in this presentation, please contact Liesl Ramos at 850-487-4842 or send an email at liesl.ramos@apdcares.org. And if you wish to obtain additional information about the Agency for Persons with Disabilities, you may contact the APD State Office at 1-866-273-2273 or 850-488-4257, or visit our website at apdcares.org. Thank you and have a great day.